I wasn't planning to do this video, but we're gonna be talking about the Sony A7C Mark II, the Sony A7CR, and some of the recent leaks because things are getting a little bit out of control in terms of pricing and in terms of what this camera is going to be. A couple of people have been disappointed. So let's talk about it. And the first thing that we need to talk about is a video that leaks some information regarding the pricing. Sony Alpha Rumor states that from one of their sources, the price of these two cameras may be at around $2,500 for the Sony A7C Mark II and at around $3,400 or $3,500 for the Sony A7CR. Yes. Now, first of all, Sony A7C Mark II, what can we expect from this camera? And as some of you that have been following videos, pretty much it's going to be a mini Sony A7 IV. So we're gonna have the 33 megapixel sensor. We're gonna have most likely the same video codecs. And like I mentioned before, I don't know how the 60p is gonna be handled. I doubt we're gonna have 120 in 4K. And that's pretty much it. You know, if you're familiar with the Sony A7C Mark I, we're gonna have the same body for this camera at least. And there's a big chance that we also gonna have the same body for the Sony A7CR. And I wanna talk about the bodies because for those that have been waiting for this camera, we gotta discuss something and we gotta discuss value. First thing that I wanna mention is that if the body is exactly the same thing as the Sony A7C Mark I, that means that you're gonna have that shallow grip. Nothing wrong with this grip, but it's not the most comfortable grip when, you know, for example, using telephoto lenses. And you're also gonna be lacking some buttons right over here and the button that you have in the Sony A6700 on the side. And we're not gonna have a joystick. Maybe at a $2,500, I could live without a joystick, but I don't think I could live without a joystick with a camera that's gonna cost me $3,400. And once again, this is if the prices that have been leaked by Sony Alpha Rumors is right. I hope that they got that rumor completely wrong because I think it's going to be a lot of money. Specifically, when you compare, you know, towards the value that the Sony A6700 brings. Now, this camera, first of all, has an upgraded body. And again, it costs you only $1,400. This camera also has a brand new buttons and dial layout. You pretty much can configure all the dials with this thumb because you can reach this dial right here. I have it configured to the shutter speed. And then you have the stack dial right here that changes from photo, video, and SNQ, and the top dial, which is the top mode. Now, Sony with this layout allowed you to actually control the camera without actually using your second hand. And I think it's actually incredible. Now, the other thing is that this body addresses the short grip issue. This grip is actually a lot bigger than the one from the Sony A7C Mark I, and you can clearly see the difference. Now, when it comes to size, both cameras are about the same width and thickness, and both cameras feature the same flip-out screen, and the image quality of this camera is incredible. Now, you also have all the video codecs that you can ask for, you know, 4K video, 10-bit, 422, you know, fast frame rate. Everything that you can ask for, you have it in this camera for $1,400. Yes, it's an APS-C sensor, but if you put an f1.4 fast glass or an f1.2, you know, you still get plenty of background separation. I want to discuss this because the Sony A7CR, we have not seen images about this camera, and at $3,500, you know, I really hope that this camera is not going to be exactly the same thing as the Sony A7C Mark I type of body, because that's going to mean that you are going to have one less button right here and one less button right over here than the Sony A6700. Once again, a camera that costs you right now $1,400 versus the supposed $3,400, $3,500 of the Sony A7CR. Now, one thing that we have heard multiple times is that the Sony A7CR may have the same screen as the Sony A7R5, right? Which is the multi-tilt screen that tilts up and down, comes up, and it also flips in every single direction, which is actually a really good implementation, added to the fact that we're gonna have, of course, the 61 megapixel sensor from the Sony A7C R5, and I'm assuming that we're gonna have all the video specs that we have in the Sony A7C R5. Now, how some of the faster frame rates are gonna be handled in these smaller bodies, I don't know how that's gonna go, but we already know what happened with 12 megapixel in the Sony ZV-E1. Overheating has been one of the main issues being discussed by a lot of content creators, videographers, and people alike. So now I think the Sony can actually get away with charging $3,400 in this camera, and that's gonna be about $400, $500 less than the Sony A7R V if Sony actually includes the following features in this camera. Number one, they're gonna have to give us a better EVF. Number two, I think they should actually use the body from the Sony A6700, which it already has an improved ergonomic, it has more buttons, and also we need to have a joystick in this camera. A $3,400, $3,500, in my opinion, if I was on the market for a semi-professional or professional camera, I would completely skip this tiny camera and go with a Sony 7R V because, you know, that is a much more comfortable body, specifically if you're gonna be using long telephoto lenses, 70 to 200 and on, you know, you're gonna be benefiting from the hand grip and the joystick. So I hope the Sony Alpha rumors got the latest rumor wrong. And even with those additional features, I think that a lot of people are gonna find the Sony A6700 a much better buy and value for your money. And when I got the Sony A6700, I plan to get the camera just to review here on the channel. And you know, I do that a lot, and then I sell the camera as an open box item. I can write off the loss. So I actually ended up keeping the camera because I shot with the camera while doing testings and preparing a review that's actually coming up very soon. And I fell in love with the camera, and now it is the camera that I'm gonna be taking for a trip to Switzerland because it is really powerful. I have all the video specs that I can ask for. I have the image quality that I actually can ask for. And when it comes to low light performance, yes, it's not gonna be like a Sony A7CII Mark I, but it's actually not that far. And in my opinion, I rarely shoot at night. So this camera is a great value for your money. Specifically, if you're gonna be coming from another ecosystem, you are gonna find yourself in a much better situation going with something like this because you're gonna have to buy lenses. So buying APS-C glass is gonna be lighter and cheaper, lighter to the pocket, but also lighter physically. And when it comes to traveling, I love to travel light, and anything that I could do to travel light, I take it. So guys, let's actually wait and see. August 29th, it is set when the Sony A7C and Sony A7CR will be released. So hopefully we're gonna see some images being leaked. Actually, we know that that is the marketing game plan of this brand. A couple of days before the announcement, we start seeing some images just to create a little bit of momentum there, and we'll see. So let me know in the comments down below if you're planning to wait for this camera, or if you're going for the Sony A6700, or if you're skipping the camera altogether and you're actually like me, that you just got a second Sony A7C Mark I, because I still love the image quality coming from this little guy. Guys, I'll see you in the next video.